YouTube has changed a lot. Have you guys noticed? If I had to grow on YouTube from scratch today, the strategies I would use would be very different and maybe even a bit surprising. In today's video, I'm going to tell you exactly what I would do to grow on YouTube from zero, step by step. So buckle up. By the way, this video is sponsored by Riverside, more on them later. Step 1, figuring out what I would post. Now, if I was growing from scratch on YouTube in this day and age, I would approach my content strategy very differently to how I did back in the day. Previously, it was all about niching down. It was like, the more niche you are, the better chances you have of growing. And whilst niching down is still effective, I'll link to a video where I talk about the pros and cons of niching down up here. Nowadays, it's actually more important that you come to YouTube with a unique concept. This is the thing that's missing from YouTube right now. A lot of our content, mine included, has become a bit samey. A great example is a video that I shared recently, which was about the great lock-in of 2025. After I uploaded that video, I started to get served other videos about this topic. And let me tell you, there were a lot of them. It suddenly made me realize that we all sound the same. And I think that's the result of us approaching YouTube so strategically. We're seeing other people talk about a topic that's performed well, and then we think that's our sign to do the same. And that's because up until this point, that has worked. But I don't think that's the case anymore. So I would start by picking 3 to 5 content pillars that reflect my genuine interests. Content pillars don't have to be something confusing. They're basically themes or like buckets of content. I don't know, you can call it what you want. They're basically ways for you to categorize the different content that you share on YouTube. Remember that we're specifically talking about the subjects. So if you're someone that is really, really into manifestation, that might be one of your pillars. Or maybe you're someone who's really into street style, and therefore that's one of your pillars. Figure out 3 to 5 things that you're genuinely passionate about and that you genuinely want to create content on, write them down, and those are your content pillars. I would then focus on sharing an equal amount of content for each pillar, and then in 6 to 12 months time, I would look at my YouTube analytics and I would let it tell me which content is performing better. Let me show you so you know what I mean. So I'm in my YouTube studio, I've clicked on analytics, I've clicked on videos, and I'm then going to click on advanced mode. It's going to open up this screen that's going to tell me which content has performed best that I've uploaded within the last 28 days. So I'll change this to the last 90 days or 6 months, 365 days, whatever you want to pick. And then it's going to show me my best performing content that I've uploaded within that set period of time. I would let the data tell me what my audience are most interested in, which is why you need to give it at least 6 months to really gather that data to figure it out. What I wouldn't do is stress about having a defined niche from day one, which is what we all used to be told that we need to do. Now, other things that I would consider when it comes to making a plan about what I'm going to post is the format of my content. So nowadays you have both shorts and long form. And I'm saying nowadays because when I first started YouTube, there were no shorts. That's how long ago it was. It was only 5 years ago, but it feels like a lifetime. So now you need to figure out what your balance is going to be between short form content and long form content. In my opinion, the best balance for this day and age is to have 2 long form videos a week and 5 short form a week. That is a really great balance for you to make the most of the YouTube Shorts algorithm, which is designed to help you reach a new audience, but also share regular long form content that actually engages your viewers and keeps them coming back. If you focus too much on one format, you will struggle with the other. Okay, so keep that in mind. The next thing I would consider, because no, we're not done, is the style of content that I would create. There are so many different styles that you can create on YouTube, especially when it comes to like your long form content. For example, there's talking head, which is exactly what you're watching right now. It's my head talking to you and not much else going on. There's also vlogs. There's also interview style content. I would put a lot of thought into which styles I wanted to test out. Remember, I'm seeing this as a testing phase. So if I want to try all of them, I'll try all of them. But I definitely want to put some thought into the ones that I want to try. And most importantly, I would ensure that there was an equal balance between each style on my content. If you don't have the equal balance, so you share like 90% vlogs and 10% talking head, it's going to be hard for you to get the data you need to tell you which style works best for your audience. Step 2, when to post. Now, whilst a lot has changed on YouTube, something has remained the same. YouTube favors creators who upload content on the same day at the same time every single week. This consistency, in my opinion, is the most important thing to consider when you are picking your posting schedule. If you want to get real technical here, which I'm going to take a wild guess and say that you do, the reason why YouTube loves creators who do this is because it makes it easy for the algorithm to figure out what to share to your audience when. So if you put yourself in your audience's shoes for a minute, let's say every single Wednesday at 1:30, they log on to YouTube and they click on your video because they know that you would have just shared it. If you then decide to post on a different day that week, when they log in on Wednesday at 1:30, your video won't be there. And what then happens is YouTube's algorithm scrambles to find another video to share to them so that they don't leave the platform. So it will use someone else's content to fill the content hole that you've just left, right? Don't get me wrong, it's not the end of the world. You can always get it back. Like I sometimes mix up the days that I post. It's totally fine. But if you can get consistent and try and share on the same day at the same time as often as you can, it's just going to help your content perform better. In terms of which days to post, if you head into your analytics, keep in mind that you would have needed to share some content before you start to get this data. But go into your analytics, click on your audience tab, scroll down, and you'll see this card here, which is called when your viewers are on YouTube. The dark purple is clearly showing you when your audience is mostly online. So what I would do if you've got a completely blank schedule is look at that graph and figure out, okay, my audience are mostly online on these days. For example, Sundays. People love to watch YouTube on Sundays, myself included. So maybe I'm going to post on Sunday just before its peak window so that I can have some content live when people sit down to consume. And a really important aspect to this conversation that you simply must consider is that you need to be picking a posting schedule that actually works for your life. If you're going to say that you're going to share a long form video 5 days a week, but you know you do not have capacity to do that, don't set out a goal to do it. Be realistic, work around your own schedule, and then just be consistent with that. Step 3, creating content. Let me tell you something right now. The content I used to create 5 years ago would not cut it in today's YouTube world. I will hold my hands up. I know for a fact it would not fly. The landscape has changed. So there are a few things you now need to consider when it comes to creating content that actually thrives on YouTube. The first is the tools that you're using to create. An amazing tool that's going to help you with this is actually found inside Riverside, and it's called their co-creator. Now I want to show you how this actually works in practice because it's going to blow your mind. So I've opened up my Riverside studio. I've opened up an old video and the co-creator window has appeared on the right. It's essentially like a chat bot that you can use to help you create more content and also to improve the quality of your content. So as you can see, it's already suggesting different ways that it can help you, right? So it's suggesting that we can remove unnecessary parts of my video. So things like fluff and pauses and filler words that you might be using. This is a tool that would be really useful for creating content that can hold up in today's day and age because attention spans are so much shorter than they used to be. So much shorter. So whilst you used to be able to go on several tangents throughout your video, you're not usually able to do that as much, and you do actually need to cut out a lot of your fluff unless it's like imperative to the story, right? You can also use it to improve sound because again, the quality of our videos need to be a lot better. I mean, I used to film on my phone with no mic. Nowadays, if you're going to do that, you need to be using a tool like this to improve the audio quality, right? You can also do things like enhance the visuals. So it will allow you to add layouts and captions, and you've got a make ready to share button, which allows you to do all of it in one place. If you click on AI tools, it also allows you to get more specific. Now there's a new thing on here that's literally blowing my mind, and it's called eye contact. It basically allows you to fix your eye contact so that you're like looking directly at the lens. And let me just show you an example of what my videos used to look like, and you'll understand why that tool has blown my mind so much. I never used to look directly at the lens because it scared me. I used to look at the preview screen. I wouldn't recommend doing that if you want to grow on YouTube in this day and age. But if you do want to do that and you want to fix it, there is a tool for that inside Co-Creator. Of course, there's additional ways that you can enhance your video through this as well, such as using the add background music function or adding B-roll. So I'm going to do some quick edits now so you can see what this looks like in practice. I think I'm going to click improve sound. There we go. So it's enhancing the quality of the audio, which is amazing. And then I'm going to head to AI tools and I'm going to remove pauses. There we go. So it's already done that for me. And then finally, I'm going to click on the promote section, and it's actually going to help me get this video ready to share and ready to promote. So you can do this by cutting my video into smaller clips, by creating a promo trailer, creating a thumbnail, a social media episode, or maybe it just wants to help me with my title. So I'm going to click episode title. And I love that it's already assumed that I want 5 options, because if you're ever using AI for things like this, always ask for options. Don't just ask it to give you one. So there we go. It's giving me 5 options. And of course, remember, this is a chatbot, so I can give it feedback. So maybe I want to make it more punchy. Oh, why am I shouting? I didn't mean for that to be in capitals. There we go. It's going to feed back and give me more title ideas that are more punchy. And that's how you can use Riverside Co-Creator to really enhance your content this year and beyond. You can actually get 15% off of Riverside when you upgrade your plan. Head to the link in my description and use code Jade Beeson. Now, there are some other things we need to cover when it comes to the content I would create right now if I was starting from scratch. Let's talk about kit. I'm still a firm believer that you can start a YouTube channel with just your phone. However, back in the day, I would film using the front camera and now I would film using the rear camera, okay? This is where the best quality footage is usually captured. I would also link my phone to my laptop so that I'd be able to see what I was filming rather than just guessing that I'm in frame or not. I would also invest in a mic as soon as possible. Nowadays, we've got some amazing portable mics that you can get your hand on. I currently use the DJI mics because you can record internally. So it's basically like its own little memory stick. So you don't need a transmitter or anything. You can just record on it and then plug it into your laptop, which is super, super handy. Now, there are two additional things that I would do when it comes to creating my content that I definitely wouldn't have done 5 years ago. The first is I would try to create for TV viewing. Did you guys know how many people watch our content on TV? If you're watching this on TV right now, can you let me know in the comments, because it always blows my mind. So many people watch YouTube on TV that last year, YouTube surpassed Netflix when it came to the amount of content consumed on a television set. Mental. And because of this, YouTube are making so many changes to their TV app to make the viewing experience even better. It also means that if you're creating content for TV viewing, which means it's high quality, it's interesting, it's impactful, you're more likely to actually get some reach from that because YouTube's going to reward the people who are leaning into this new trend, right? A quick tip for me on this, if you have any content that you think could form part of a series, just know that YouTube are releasing a feature that allows you to identify your content as episodes, which will basically mean that you can link a series of content together and have it appear on screen, very similar to like a Netflix style viewing experience where people can binge it one after the other, but in this really immersive, beautiful way. The second thing that I would do that I didn't do 5 years ago is that I would look into SEO at this stage of the process. If you don't know what SEO is, it stands for search engine optimization. And it's basically when you do some research to figure out what keywords people are searching on YouTube to find content similar to yours. Previously, I would do this after I filmed. So I would film my content, I would upload my content, and I would do the keyword research afterwards in order to help YouTube recognize what my content is about, therefore increasing the chances of it appearing when people are searching for it, right? Are you still with me? Now, this worked really well back then because most of my video topics were being searched for quite often, but that's not the case anymore, which means I often get to the point where I filmed my videos, I'm uploading it, and I'm checking which keywords are popular, only to realize that there are no popular keywords because people aren't searching for that video anymore. Heartbreaking. In order to avoid this, I would do that stage now. Let me show you a quick behind the scenes. So let's take this video, for example, where I'm talking about if I started on YouTube from zero. So let's say YouTube growth. So if I'm at the stage where I'm actually creating the video, I would go into my YouTube studio, I would type this into an old video title, and I would use it to trigger my TubeBuddy, which is further down here. Now, I'll put a link to TubeBuddy in the description, but when you download it as an add-on to your Chrome, it will appear like this, and it basically gives you access to this recommended tag section. So if I click refresh scores, and then keyword score, what I'm now seeing is the best keywords that are related to that title that I just entered according to TubeBuddy. So I would do this at this point because I would use this to guide what my video is going to be about. So how to start a YouTube channel, how to grow a YouTube channel with 0 subscribers, kind of aligned to what I'm filming right now. Educational videos for babies. That's so random, but do you see what I mean? Like these aren't as specific as what they used to be, or like how YouTube's algorithm works, right? I already have a video on that, so there's no point doing another one. But I would use this for my ideation rather than doing it the other way around, because nowadays, a lot of the topics that I talk about used to be really popular 4 years ago, but they're not as popular now. And I often don't realize that until I'm at the stage where the video's already been finished. Step 4, when would I create? What I'm referring to here is the schedule that I would actually use to create content if I wanted to grow from zero, because it is different to the schedule that I used to use. Back in the day, I would batch my videos and I would batch like a month's worth of content in advance. In fact, I was doing that up until fairly recently, to be honest. I've only recently stopped because I realized that it's actually making my content a bit stale. Because if you batch your content a month in advance, then you're picking your topics a month in advance. So what happens if you're 2 weeks down the line and you realize that a topic that you picked isn't actually going to cut it anymore? You don't really have the flexibility to change that. So I would move to more reactive batching, which basically means that I would, and currently am, batching my content every single week. So I'm still batching, I'm still sitting down and filming 2, maybe 3 videos in one go, but I'm doing it every week rather than once a month. It allows me to be a lot more reactive with my topics and tweak them based on what's going on in the industry. Step 5, how would I post? Now this step involves how I would upload and optimize my content, but also my strategy and approach for things like my titles and my thumbnails. Because oh my God, would it be different if I was starting from zero? First of all, when it comes to optimizing my videos for search, there are a few things I would keep in mind. We've already spoken about what SEO is, right? So if you skipped ahead, you shouldn't do that. because now you don't know what I'm talking about. I'm kidding, but go back. We already know what SEO is. Something that I would do to increase the chances of YouTube sharing my content when others are searching for it online is I would pay attention to how I name my video file. Now, this is something I've spoken about before, but maybe not enough. YouTube, when it's trying to figure out what your content's about, it's looking for something called metadata. And that is essentially little clues that they find when they're looking at this window. So this is what you see when you upload a YouTube video, right? This is the back end that a lot of you guys are familiar with. It's where you add your title and your description and all that stuff. Consider this the place where you need to be dropping as many clues which help YouTube figure out what your video is about as possible, including the video title, because this is part of your metadata. So think about how you want to name the title of your video and make sure it's relevant to the topic of your video before you even upload it to YouTube. Another thing I would be doing is using A/B testing, because that was not a thing when I first started on YouTube. You are now able to test 3 thumbnails and 3 titles, either separately or together, which is mind-blowing. And best believe I would be using this feature. The way in which I would use it though is not by uploading 3 wildly different thumbnails or using 3 wildly different titles. I would make small tweaks to each of the thumbnails or each of the titles, and I would make a note of how each of them performed, right? So let's look at some examples, right? We'll focus on thumbnails. These are 2 different thumbnails that I tested for a recent vlog. They say the exact same thing, but the photo's different. What I've isolated here to test is the photo, right? Alternatively, the photo in these 2 thumbnails is exactly the same, but the copy is different. So what I'm testing here is the copy, also known as the text, because I realize some people don't know what I mean when I say copy. The text on the screen is what I'm testing. By isolating one specific feature, it's easier for you to understand what works and what doesn't work over time. Also on thumbnails, before we move on, something I would do if I was starting from zero right now is I would get super creative with my thumbnails. Back in the day, there was a specific format of thumbnails that we all kind of adhered to. And honestly, I'm trying to break free of that, because nowadays, the more unique and creative your thumbnail is, the more likely it is to perform. If it looks like everyone else's, then you're doing yourself a disservice. And that is a challenge that I'm currently also battling. Step 6, how I would grow. Now, if I was starting on YouTube from zero right now, the first thing that I would consider doing is collaborating with others. And that might sound like an old school tactic, because realistically it is. Most YouTubers who blew up in the early days of YouTube did so because they collaborated with each other, right? We lost the art of collaboration somewhere along the line, and YouTube are hopefully bringing it back with their latest feature. This feature allows you to collaborate with another creator and for your video to appear on both of your channels. The person who uploaded the video will be the one who received the money from the ads, if you have ads turned on. But regardless, both of you will be able to benefit from both of your audiences seeing that content. If this was a thing back in the day, it would have literally changed people's lives. This is a huge, huge, huge feature. And I want to see people using it. I want to see people collaborating, and I want to see people making the most off of utilizing 2 people's audiences. That would be my core growth tactic. The other thing I would do to grow on YouTube is to focus on viewer satisfaction. I interviewed the Vice President of Engineering at YouTube, also known as the man behind the algorithm. Yes, literally I interviewed him, Christos, great guy. I'll link to it up here. And he told me everything that we needed to know about the algorithm. One of the key things he explained to me was that the algorithm is now focused on viewer satisfaction. And that has changed over the years, but right now it's viewer satisfaction, which means if you right now have gotten to this point in this video and you feel satisfied, and you've shown that by watching majority of the video, maybe you've liked the video, hint, hint, maybe you've commented under the video, maybe you've shared it with someone. These are all signals that help YouTube's algorithm figure out how satisfied you are. That, and also, you know, those surveys that you sometimes get when you finish watching a YouTube video, that's a key signal as well. So it's looking at all these signals to figure out how satisfied you are as a viewer. And if it thinks that my video is satisfying my viewers, it will push it out to more people. So that is what I would focus on in order to grow, because I know that is the best way to go viral on YouTube nowadays. And that is how I would approach growing a YouTube channel from zero. I hope you guys found that useful. Don't forget that you can get 15% off of Riverside when you upgrade your plan and use code Jade Beeson. There is a link in my description. If you feel like hanging around, make sure you watch this video next. It's all about the updates coming to YouTube this year and beyond. A very important video for everyone to watch if you are trying to grow on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I can't wait to see you in my next video.